There we go. Yum, yum. Breakfast. And that even. Well, Spirit here is one of our newest education eagles at the center. And believe it or not, she is just 2 years old. She came to our center back in September of 2016. And this was after she had been found on the side of the road up in Juneau. So her age at the time was less than a year. She would have been born that April, which leaves us pretty comfortable in assuming that she was going after some roadkill up in Juneau, and then unfortunately was struck by a car, which is a pretty common occurrence for birds of prey. Either they're raptors and owls, and they're hunting all the small mice that are attracted to the litter that's thrown out of cars on the side of the road, or they're large birds of prey like bald eagles, who, while they are very impressive, are much more interested in hunting efficiently. So if there's food that's already dead they can eat, or even something they can steal from another bird, they're very likely to do that. In the case of Spirit here, after her accident, we diagnosed her with blindness in her left eye. So her left eye is just all sort of scarred over. She can't really make out a lot on that side. And then once we gave her a little bit of time and space, we also discovered that she unfortunately has suffered some permanent brain damage. So that's a little harder to diagnose. We can't really put her in an MRI and map out the brain, figure out what might have happened there. But she has some behaviors that just don't really mesh with what you'd want a wild eagle to do. So one of the big things she does is when she jumps off her perch, she will often do a full backflip before she lands on the ground again. It looks really, really impressive, and she's definitely got control over it, or at least it doesn't bother her. So she'll land on her feet, go about her day. She's not stressed, she's not scared. But if she were to do that in the wild, say jumping off her perch to go after a fish, that fish is not going to be in the same spot after she's done her whole little acrobatic routine. So she'd miss out on some hunting opportunities with that. The other thing that we've noticed is that when she sees or hears something new, or something she doesn't have a lot of experience with, she will turn her head all the way upside down and then stare at whatever it is. This is a behavior that a lot of birds do. It's called head tilt. They just kind of turn their head upside down until they can figure out how they're going to react. For most birds, it's a matter of seconds. For Spirit here, it can be up to a minute. So she'll spend a minute staring at whatever it is, and then once that minute is up, she realizes, oh, I'm going to run away because that's scary, or I'm going to scream at that because I think it's another eagle in my territory. Which obviously would lead to some problems in the wild if you've got a minute delay on your reactions, because she would need to figure out within a couple of seconds if she's going to eat something, ignore it, run away from it. Whatever choice she makes is fine, but it needs to be a lot quicker. So with her eye injury and her head trauma, we didn't feel comfortable releasing Spirit. She's just doesn't have a lot of the natural behaviors that she would need to thrive in the wild. So she stays here as an education bird. Very distracted right now. You want it? Maybe? There you go. And does a really good job just showing how impressive bald eagles are, with the added benefit of showing just what young bald eagles look like. So she gets mistaken for a golden eagle fairly often because of this nice dark brown feathering. As she continues to age, this brown and white mottling will increase. And when she turns 5, it'll all come together with a dark brown body, a white head and tail, along with that yellow beak and pale eyes. Whoop, hang on. That you think of when you typically think of a bald eagle. So that 5th year of age is also when she'll be considered an adult. So birds are a little different from us in that they can reach their full size well before they reach their sexual maturity. And what Spirit just did in falconry terms is called baiting. Not like fish bait, B-A-T-E. And what it means is that it was no longer worth it for her to stay on my glove. Yes, I know. When we train our birds, we use positive reinforcement. So Spirit knows that if she stays on my glove, she gets food. Sometimes she's like, great, I want food. Sometimes she wants to go to the bathroom. Sometimes she gets a little nervous about what might be happening. She is still fairly young. But we'll tempt her with some rat. No, not even rat? Okay. Well.
She wants to go. I'm tired of this. I'm enough.
We had a couple sunny days in a row, so she might just be working up with the rain coming back in, but you got to get used to it. It's okay.
How much does she weigh?
She's doing good. How much does she weigh? So believe it or not, this giant bird weighs just about 10.5 pounds. She is a little on the smaller side for a female. They can be anywhere from 10 to 16 pounds, while the males are going to be between 6 and 10 pounds. And that smaller male size is true across the bird of prey world. So if you've got a very, very large bird of prey, it's most likely going to be female. You doing okay? A little nervous, huh? Yeah, I think the stuff in the window. But she's doing okay. She's still letting me know with her body language that while she'd prefer to be out in her enclosure, I can make her stay out a little bit longer since this is her job.
What are you feeding her?
The food that Spirit is getting today is a lot of fish, so she gets a lot of salmon. We'll also give her, along with our other eagles, deer and bear meat to mimic the kind of scavenger part of their life. On top of that, though, since she is an education bird, we like to give her a lot of different protein sources. Just since she'll be with us for life, since she'll be with us for a while, we want to make sure, that she's got variety and isn't getting too bored by anything. So she also gets quail and rabbit, and her absolute favorite is normally rat. There, let me see. Nothing's too bad if she's eating. Okay, that's probably good, yeah. So rat is her favorite, especially rat heads. We will sometimes also give her a deer head to play with and kind of mimic her natural behaviors. Yeah. Any other questions while she hopefully cooperates? You're fine.
How long do they normally live?
How long do they normally live? So in the wild, they have to make it past their first couple years of life, which is pretty hard. Young raptors have a fairly high mortality rate. Once they do that, though, they're looking at the early 20s for a lifespan. And once they're under human care, their lifespan typically doubles. So we can hope Spirit to make it to her early 40s, but we really want her to beat the current record, which is 50 years. Or immortal, also a fine option. Yeah.
When she tries to fly like that, do you feel a pretty intense pull?
When she baits off the glove, you definitely can feel it. Luckily, she gives me a lot of warning with her body language and lets me know she's about to jump. And if you notice, I don't yank her back, I spin in a circle with her. With the smaller raptors, we can kind of manhandle them a little more. Oh, thank you. But with her, the way we've been trained is that if we were to try and pull her, she could easily dislocate our shoulder. And those of you in the front who felt that power she's generating, it's probably no surprise. And then I saw, yes, do you have a question?
Do you ever get feed them live food?
We will rarely, but occasionally feed them live prey. It's not their primary source of food just because they all have injuries where they're not suited to live in the wild, and that typically translates to not as great at hunting. Also, the risk of the live prey having a disease or even injuring our birds before they can do them in is a big thing. But we will occasionally give her things like live goldfish. She likes to watch those. And sometimes there's someone who breeds mice on the island, and they'll give us small mice, and she'll kind of look at them a lot.
Is there any fish in that water where we saw them?
The stream in our flight training center is recirculated, and unfortunately, with all those eagles going to the bathroom, mostly ammonia at this point. So there's not a lot of oxygen left for the fish in there. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Is it true more eagles die of drowning than anything else?
Is it true more eagles die of drowning than anything else? That is actually a pretty persuasive myth. So there's an idea that eagles, if they grab like a fish that's too large for them, they won't be able to open their feet, and then they'll be pulled underwater and drown. As I heard Brittany talking about, their feet are very strong and impressive. And while they can apply a lot of grip strength and almost use their feet like a ratchet, so they can apply pressure and hold it there, they are very capable of opening their feet and letting go. That being said, there are some times when eagles, mostly when they're starving, will grab a fish and just not want to let go. So they can if they wanted to, but they're at the point where if they don't get that fish, that might be the end of it. So they try and take it back to shore, don't always make it. We don't get a lot of cases like that, though. It is very, very rare for an eagle to drown. Mostly what we get are collisions with cars and power lines, as well as young eagles that are just kind of starving because they haven't quite figured stuff out. Good job. Okay, she's calmed down now. Excellent. Well, Spirit's going to go back into her outside enclosure. If you'd like to visit her more later, that's where she'll be. And I want to thank everyone for coming.
Ma'am.
I can come back out and answer a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. The window was right
Oh,
there.
I got that on your video. That was good.